Hi, welcome. My name is Mark Price and I'm your link tutor for your studies here at the University of Brighton whilst you're on one of our freestanding modules. I'm based in the School of Education and I'm the person that links very closely with the tutors on your course, and if you have any questions at all about the university aspect of the training that you're on, then I'm your point of contact. And you'll see that you've got my direct phone line there at the bottom of the slide and my email address. Over the next half an hour or so, I'm going to talk through a number of aspects of what it means to be a student here at Brighton University and provide some links to other sites and some general guidance to support you in your studies. So for those of you that know the area at all, the University of Brighton is a multi-campus university, and we are based at the Falmer campus just outside Brighton on the edge of the Downs, right next to the football stadium. This is the Checklin building you can see on the slide. That's where I'm based, and if any of you do live locally, there's a library right next to this building, but there are also other libraries at Hastings, Eastbourne and in Brighton, and as a member of the university you can access any of our libraries to take out books or use the online study facilities. When you registered for this course, you were asked to fill out an enrolment form, and you should receive back from us guidance about how to complete the enrolment process. You will be asked if you would like to upload a photograph, and this means we can then print off a library card for you. You'll see there's an example there of the very lovely Graham Davis smiling, and your card will obviously have your own photo on it, and it will mean that you can then use that to take out library books from our libraries. You can also, some places will accept that card as evidence of you being a student and will give you discounts. So I know that Smiths, I think, give discounts, the Co-op, Fat Face, lots of places. I think the Odeon Cinema might as well. Some of you though will probably want to get an NUS card. You have to go into the NUS website for this, and this will give you, this is probably more widely acceptable as evidence of you being a student, and will get you discounts in all sorts of places. So do upload your photo if you want one of our uni cards, and go onto the NUS website if you would like an NUS card as well. It is important though, even if you don't get a card, that you complete the online enrolment process, because this will give you what's called a username, and the username is usually your initials plus 2 or 3 numbers plus a secure passcode for you. It's usually about an 8-digit passcode, which you'll need to remember to access any of the university's facilities, online facilities. So you'll get a username and a passcode, an 8-digit passcode. So one of the reasons for enrolling on the University of Brighton is so we can give you your certificate when you finally complete your study with us, but also you can access all our online support materials. Your tutor will be uploading a whole bunch of stuff for you, including handouts from the courses, the training sessions that you're on, links to other resources, perhaps video clips, all sorts of things. And we arrange all that material on something called Student Central. It's what we call our virtual learning environment, and it's a kind of a password protected intranet. So you'll need both your username and your passcode to get into that. And when you click onto that, you'll then see this as the opening page. I've highlighted there the library tag in the centre. The online library is really easy to use. It's just a simple keyword process, and you can access ebooks, online journals, and you can see if existing hard copy books are in stock as well in our libraries. But I would really recommend you have a look around in the library section and see what material there is, particularly related to the areas that you're studying on your course. You'll also see just at the top right of that page there's a tab called Studies, and if you click on this tab it takes you onto the next page. So this is what the studies page looks like. On the left hand side you'll see there's a whole bunch of modules listed there. Your page won't have as many modules as this, it should only have perhaps one module, and that you'll see there those are some of the modules that I'm involved in, whereas I've just highlighted there one of the modules that may be the module that you're taking. In this case it's KV422. So your module that you're registered on will have a code which is usually KV and then followed by three numbers. I'll explain the significance of those numbers in a second. And that's the tab, that KV422, or whichever module you're on, that's the tab that takes you into all the materials that your tutor has loaded up for you. Just a couple of other things though on this page. At the top left there you'll see I've highlighted My School Education. If you go into My School Education, it takes you to a site where there's some general information for all students in the School of Education, and in particular the Student Supporting Guidance page, which I'm going to go through in a second. And then on the right hand side of this page you'll also see a thing that I've highlighted there called Ask Academic Study Kit. And the Ask Academic Study Kit is exactly what it says it is. It gives you more details about studying at the university. But we're going to go next into the My School Education page that I've highlighted at the top left there. So in My School Education you'll see down on the left hand side there is a whole bunch of tabs, and the one I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about in detail here is the Student Supporting Guidance page. The Student Supporting Guidance tutors at the School of Ed are Steve and Mel, and they're both fantastic. And if you ever wanted any independent advice about your studies and support for being a student, I've given their details there. They know about people on courses like yours, and they are just fantastic. So I would really recommend, if you ever need any independent advice about being a student, then they're the people to talk to. They also provide lots of further tips and guidance about some of the things I'm going to be talking about in a second to do with writing your assignment, guidance on academic writing, referencing, and so on. So just a few words about what we call academic levels. You're probably familiar with the idea that there are a number of levels of academic study which fit into something called the National Qualification Framework. And just to kind of orientate yourself around that, level 2 is GCSEs, level 3 is A-levels and equivalent BTEC diplomas and so on. An ordinary undergraduate course at university, a BA or BSc, would be levels 4, 5 and 6. So in the first year of a degree you'd be on level 4, level 5 in the second year, and level 6 in the final year of a degree. And then if you went on to a master's, that would be at level 7. Now the reason why I'm just going to say a few words about it now is that your module code, the module that you're registered on, is graded at a particular level, and that's to do with the a mixture of what academic study you've done previously and how analytical we would like your assignment to be. And basically, that the higher the level, the more analytical we expect that to be. So level 4 being equivalent to the first year of a degree, if your module code is KV4 something, KV422 for example, you're registered on the level 4 version of the module. If it's KV622 or similar, you're on the level 6 version. The content of the course is exactly the same, it's just that we're expecting a higher level of writing complexity if you're on the level 6 program. Now, in terms of one of the reasons why the university has accredited your course, to give it a bit more oomph if you like, is that it means that you can take your module with you once completed, and you can take it and count it towards further study if you wish. So if you're on the level 4 module, you can take that module and come to us at the University of Brighton, and we can count it towards any number of our part-time degree programs that we offer people like yourself that are working in education. If you're on the level 6 program, if you're on the level 6 module, it's more likely that you've already got a degree. But if you're doing the level 6 module, we offer you the opportunity to take that level 6 module and count it towards a master's programme. Masters are usually at level 7, but we allow one module of the master's programme to be at level 6. So if you're on the level 6 version of this course, you can take that module once completed and bring it to us and count it towards a master's degree. Other universities do the same sort of process. This notion about module transfer is a system that's used pretty much widely across most universities in Britain, but obviously you also need to speak to individual universities about the extent to which they recognise credit from other places. Okay, so being a student at university, one of the things that defines universities in many ways is the access they have to literature, to original research, to a whole range of resources, and as a member of the university you have direct access to those, and we want you to use those, to draw on those to support your own study. We think that as students we're interested most in helping you develop your practice in education, and to do that on the course that you're on we will be drawing on other people's ideas, other people's theories, research, practices to help you develop your own practice and develop your critical thinking, that ability to question your own practice, draw on theory to support that, and really help you develop you in your professional role. So in reading other people's materials, examining ideas, and then ultimately in terms of writing your assignments, which your tutors will tell you about to give you more support on, we want you to be able to access other people's work and provide evidence of how you've used that, and that's what we're going to be looking at for the next couple of slides. So a bit of an overview. Anything that you use in your assignment as ideas, as sources, must be referenced. You must provide acknowledgement of the sources that you're using. Now that might be that you refer to somebody else's work, but you're using your own words to describe that theory or that research, and we call that an indirect reference. So you're not actually directly quoting from it, you're just providing reference to it. But if you do actually quote directly, and there might be circumstances where it's useful to do that, then obviously you must acknowledge the source and you just do it slightly differently, and I'm going to talk you through that. Then at the end of the assignment you provide a list of references that you've used in your assignment. And that system that we use is called the Harvard referencing system. There are other referencing systems that other universities might use, but we use the Harvard one. And just finally, a kind of a bit of a warning, if you like. If you don't fully reference your work, and particularly if you cut and paste stuff off the internet and then present it as your own work, not reference it properly, then we might interpret that as plagiarism, and the university takes that very seriously. Okay, what to reference? Well, you can reference pretty much anything. You can reference conversations overheard in a cafe or on a bus. But obviously we're most interested in you referencing sources which have got a level of academic rigour. And your tutors will point you towards sources and books and websites and so on that they think are particularly helpful. You can obviously use Wikipedia as a source. We recommend you don't use that as a direct reference in your work, mostly because it's not being fully scrutinised, and we would suggest that Wikipedia is useful, and I use it loads, but only as a source point. So you use it to kind of then as a starting point to find other references, rather than as a robust academic site in its own right. And that's not to kind of decry Wikipedia's usefulness, but it's just not as academically robust as some of the sources we prefer you to use. Okay, so let's think that you've found a reference in a book that you really want to use, and it's to do with the way that, in a sense, writing helps us develop our thinking. And you might use that reference to support a statement that you make in your assignment, and you write an assignment which said, "It has been said that writing makes unconscious thought evident to the writer." Now, that is not your idea, in a sense it comes from E.M. Forster's book. And so what you're doing here is you're making reference to the fact that it's someone else's idea, in this case Forster's, and at the end of your sentence there you put in brackets Forster, 1927, to indicate that the author is Forster. You don't need their second name or their first name or their initials, just their surname. So Forster, and the date the book was published. If you want to quote, you can do, and in this case I've given you an example there about how you might present the quote. So your sentence might then read, the complex relationship between language and thought takes many forms. Quote, how can I know what I think until I see what I write? And in this case you put the author's surname, the date, and then the page number, P, and then the number of the page that it comes from. This means that anybody reading your work can then go directly to that book and find your quote. And then right at the very end of your assignment you provide a list in alphabetical order of all of the references you've used, and here I've given it as an example. So it's the author's surname, then their initials, the date in brackets, the title in italics, where it was published, and then the name of the publisher, in this case Edward Arnold. On Student Central and in the module pack on your own module in Student Central, you'll find much more detailed account of how to reference your work. We want you to have a go at this. We would really like you to, as far as possible, to reference all your work, but we recognise as students on only one single module, it's unlikely you'll necessarily become really closely familiar with this process, but we must see in your assignment that you've at least attempted to reference your work as closely as you can. Okay, just a couple of other tips. Please make sure you get your work proofread. I'm terrible at proofreading my own work, and as you're looking through this presentation, you may spot the odd typo in my work here. If you are, before you hand in your work, I would really recommend that you ask a friend or somebody that's kind of familiar with this kind of writing to read through your work. Read through to make sure that the sentences are reasonably well constructed, that it makes sense grammatically. Think about punctuation particularly. And I've highlighted commas and apostrophes, but those are particular things that people often struggle with. Make sure, if you're at all unconfident about spellings and mixed up words, that you are, again, ask somebody to have a quick look at your spelling. I mean, most word processing programs now have got a spell checker. And make sure you, as far as possible, as I've just been talking about, you reference your work as fully as possible. So get someone to proofread your work, and if you're good at proofreading, offer to proofread other people's work as well, just to check that it makes sense and it's well presented. And just as an example, I have a bash at punctuating this sentence. The sentence reads, and I'll try and read it without any inferred meaning: a woman without her man is nothing. A woman without her man is nothing. So there is one sentence. I'll try to read it to you without providing meaning. So before you go on to the next slide, have a think about how you would punctuate that sentence to give it its full meaning. Okay, well, it was a bit of a trick question, if you like, because I think there are two, in the moment more, but there's two fairly obvious different meanings that sentence could have, depending on the point you're making. And it's really important, as we'll just touch on this, that you punctuate it to give it the right meaning. So the first one, there you'll see that if I read it out to you, the first sentence says, a woman, without her, man is nothing. So here, clearly, the writer is saying how important women are for men, and men really, without women, are, in this case, are nothing. The second sentence, though, obviously has a very different meaning. A woman without her man is nothing. That implies exactly the opposite. In other words, that a woman is completely dependent on man. Hopefully an example which really illustrates it, how important it is to get the punctuation in your written piece as accurate as possible. So just to finish with, there are lots of other sources that might help you in your studies. The one that I use loads is Stella Cottrell's book, the Study Skills Handbook, and there are lots of others online and books. So please, if it's helpful to you, really have a look at one of these and use it as a reference for you in terms of writing your assignments. And then finally, good luck. I really do hope you enjoy your course. I'll hear back from the tutors, I'm sure, in terms of how you're going. You've got my details at the front of the this set of slides. Mark Price, m.price@brighton.ac.uk. If you have any questions about the academic side of your course and the link with the university, including where you might take your studies next, then please do get in touch. I may not see you on your course, but hopefully I'll be looking at some of your work at the end, just to because I'm really interested in your work, but also to check that it's being marked accurately and ensure that your grades are recorded and you pass and get your certificate at the end of the course. So good luck with your studies, and I look forward to hearing how you're getting on.